You know, today's module is such a source of confusion for so many agency owners out there, especially beginner agency owners. They're like, hey man, what the heck do you do all day? Well, in today's module, I am going to finally reveal that. And I'm also going to give you some context as to what your ideal day should look like. So that way you extract and squeeze out the maximum amount of meetings you can from every single week and also just get as much productive, focused work done. So with no further ado, let's get straight into it. Dramatic day in life. So first things first, we're going to go over setting clear work expectations, time allocation based on obligations, outreach based on life circumstances, what a day in my life looks like when you reach tipping point, focusing on IPAs, and the core focuses of a dialed in day. So hustle culture. Now we're going to have to start off by really addressing a lot of misconceptions about work habits. First things first, if you get less than 6 hours of sleep a night, you're a failure. Simple. Well, there's one little caveat to that. And that caveat is if you're in a position like I was when I was first starting my agency where, you know, you're still going to school and then you've got other obligations that, like for me, were non-negotiables, like things like going to the gym. I just wasn't going to let that go, and taking the gym very seriously, and then also building my agency on top. You know, for you, that might be you have a job, you also have a family, and then you're also trying to build your agency. In that case, if you may just have to go through a period that I went through where you're getting 3-4 hours a night of sleep. It's not ideal, but you just kind of push through it, right? Until you sign a few clients, and then that opens up, and that opens up your entire calendar. And we're gonna get onto that in just a second. Second, I really need you to understand that working smart kills working hard every single day of the week. And third, in this industry, if you're doing it full time, there is no such thing as 14 hours a day. Ladies and gents, you're gonna see here just in a second, but when I am most dialed in, right, I'm at my best, I could probably muster a 12-hour workday, right? And for me, a workday doesn't mean like responding to emails, like it means deep focus work, right? That might be an IPA, right? I'm building something, that might be a sales call, that might be prospecting, that might be tweaking some ads, like whatever it may be, right? But it's not busy work, right? And that's me at my best when I'm most dialed in, no caffeine, no alcohol, I'm doing keto, like I'm just super, super dialed in, no distractions, I'm not really seeing any friends, and that's me at my stage. So you need to understand that there is no such thing as a 14-hour workday. No one's working 14 hours a day. No one's working 16-hour days, and they're not doing it productively. I've seen most people can manage around 4 to 5 hours of deep focus work, in a day. And then after that, they need to move on to, sales calls. And by the way, deep focus work could be prospecting. It could be, working on client ads. It could be finding a contractor for your team, like something that does take a lot of energy. And then the rest of the day, can be client checking calls, team calls, et cetera, et cetera. I've noticed most people can manage around 4 to 6 hours a day of that deep focus work. And as I said, when I do 12-hour workdays, I'm also sleeping 9 hours a day. So like basically all of the conditions are set perfectly for me to be working 12-hour workdays. Normally, I'd say if I'm not super dialed in and not doing monk mode, usually I'm able to do an 8-9 hour workday. 9 a.m. start, finish by 5-6 p.m. Maybe, have some busy work later on in the day, but actually getting something productive done and really moving the needle forward, that's really the amount of time that I found is possible. Now, I mentioned just a second ago, but when I first started my agency, I know what it's like to operate off of 4 or 5 hours a day of sleep, and it's rough, right? I totally get it. And in those periods, I had to be super creative with my time. I remember one of the stories that people find so hilarious is my meditation story. So everyone in my school knew basically at lunchtimes, I would either meditate or I'd read, right? Because I'll tell you a little bit about how my day was structured, and this might give you some context if you've got a job, you're in school, university, whatever it may be. When I first started my agency and when I really picked up when I was 17, right, sort of the couple months where things were bubbling right before I dropped out of school, basically my day was wake up at 7. I had to get to my school for like 8:30 or something like that, wake up, shower, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, I was so tired, I'd remember my eyelids would open and I'd be like, I don't want to do this, but got out of bed, made it happen, shower, went to school. Now, for me personally, I knew from a young age, I never cared about school. From the age of 14, I said, I'm not going to university. And that was a radical thought back then, right? These days, if, a kid says they don't want to go to university, I find most parents are like, yeah, you know what, fair enough. But, back when I was 14, that was a radical thought. So because I knew that, school was never really going to be on my trajectory, initially, if you guys want another funny story, initially my thinking was I'd finish school, I'd become a real estate agent, and then from there, I'd work as a real estate agent for 10 years, learn the craft, get into real estate, become a property developer, et cetera, et cetera. That was basically how I envisioned my path to riches, right? Ended up doing it a lot quicker than I anticipated. But anyways, for that reason, when I was in school, and also because of, I'm sure a lot of you guys were aware of the situation with me and my mom, single mom, had to take care of her, et cetera, et cetera. Because of that, I would be in school and I'd literally be lead sourcing in school and preparing my lead sourcing so that way I could get home and I could get straight into work with doing video audits. Now, back in the day before Loom, the way that I did a video audit was similar to this. I'd put my camera down, right? I had a camera because I had a creative agency, as many of you guys know. So I had the equipment, I'd put it down. I remember I would always have a yellow pad. I'd have yellow pad, pen, and then I would look at the camera and I would, go over my notes and then I put it into Premiere Pro. I would edit it up, upload as an unlisted YouTube video, and then send it to them. Man, I wish I had Loom back then. But so that's how I would structure my day. Wake up, go to school, and I knew that if I meditate when I got back from school, I would be too tired. And also I needed to use that time super wisely to do outreach, right? And I knew that if I did meditating late at night, a lot of times it would happen where if I tried to meditate at night, because I was genuinely so exhausted, I would just pass out. So I found that school lunch was actually the best time to meditate. So every school lunch, I would just go sit in and lock the cubicle in the toilet in my school that was least used. And I would just sit there and I would meditate for 30 minutes.
This meditation is about blessing.
And man, it seldom happened. I'd say maybe, once a week, but man, the times when I would be in there and someone would come in and would take a shit, it was rough, right? It was rough. So after I would finish meditating at lunch, I'd spend whatever time I had left reading, go on with the rest of the school day, most of the time be lead sourcing, come back home, do video outreach. And then I remember I would go to the gym right after dinner, so around 8 or 9 p.m. Then I'd come back, shower, and do a bit more work. And then I would read because I was also reading a book a week. And then I go to bed around like 2 a.m., wake up 7 a.m. and start the whole process again and again. And it was a drag, right? It was a big drag. But at the end of the day, that's what you need to do when you're at that stage. And, I just did what it took. And as I said, at that stage of my journey, that's what it took to make it happen. Now, when I dropped out of school, I had 4 clients, and the biggest shell shock to me, and you guys may experience this thing, the day that you finally quit your job, or, you quit school or university or, whatever, or maybe you're building this business, but it's also important to you to finish university, right? That's the other thing. Just because my journey was a certain way and I went a certain path doesn't mean that you need to go down that same path, right? And especially dropping out of high school, unless you have a special case like I did where I genuinely had to support me and my mom, there is no reason to drop out of high school, right? Finish high school and then you can enjoy the rest of your life from there, right? But really, this is a forewarning for any of you guys who, as I said, have a job, go to school, go to college. The moment in which your agency is doing well enough that you can drop those things, or you just decide to drop those things, it's going to be a bit of a shell shock to you, because you're going to go from, from really penny pinching with your time to kind of having your whole calendar free, right? And it's going to be it's going to be a real shock to the system. But really, this is where time allocation comes in. So one of the biggest questions that beginners have is, how do I spend my day, right? How do I structure my day? Well, it is very simple in this business, right? It's very, very simple. 80% of your time should be spent on prospecting and getting meetings and closing clients. The other 20% of the time should be spent on building systems, hiring, etc. Now, that percentage is going to be skewed, or you're going to have to adjust that if you're the one delivering the services yourself. And this is something that, you're going to have to make a decision on from day one. Do I hire a contractor to deliver the services for me and bring him or her under your agency, right? And all have it under your agency umbrella? And that structure when you're first starting out is on a per month, per client basis. That right there I call contractor arbitrage. Or are you going to deliver the services yourself? Now, with the obnoxious service phase, I think it's something like 45 modules, like 45 specific modules on services. I mean, it really is absurd, right? With all that, you can just deliver the services yourself. Now, if that's the case, then I recommend that 20% of your time should be spent on systems, hiring, et cetera, et cetera. And then the other 80% of your time, rather than spending 80% on sales, lead sourcing, et cetera, that should be spent half on sales and lead sourcing and the other half on service delivery, because honestly, it's much easier to keep a client than it is to get a new one. So in that case, it's important that you basically juggle both. Now, the decision is yours. There's no right or wrong. When I first started my agency, the first, year and a half, I did all the service delivery myself. Now, bear in mind, back then I was a creative agency and actually did have a contractor who, funnily enough, is Kieran, who many of you guys know as a product manager here at greatagency.com. Now, back then I actually did have a contractor just to help me with some captions and stuff like that, because as I said, I was doing social media management, content, et cetera. But 90% of the work I was doing myself. So really, it's up to you whether you bring on a contractor or not. But the point is 20% on systems, hiring, et cetera, learning, right? Systems, hiring, learning, et cetera. And then the other 80% of your time, if you are outsourcing, that should be spent on sales, prospecting, et cetera. If you are doing the service delivery yourself, then you cut that in half and you spend half of it on service delivery and half on sales, prospecting, et cetera. So let's give the hypothetical situation that you have an 8-hour day and you decide that until you get to 10K a month, you are going to deliver services yourself. Well, in that situation, you can roughly spend around 2 hours a day on systems building and, maybe even starting to look for good potential hires, going through the course, learning, looking for niche case studies, because look, there's agencies out there like you and I, right? Like, let's say you're running ads for real estate agents. Well, there's a bunch of agencies out there who are posting, hey, here's how I get my results from my real estate agents, because they're using that as a case study to get more clients. Well, you as another agency can actually see what they're doing and emulate a lot of that, especially in terms of not only getting the leads, but nurturing the leads, et cetera. So, that will be 2 hours of your day. And then 3 hours of your day would be spent on service delivery. And then the other 3 hours would be spent on prospecting, lead sourcing, et cetera, right? Now, let's say you only have 2 hours a day to work on your agency. Well, in that case, I strongly recommend that at least after the first one client, you definitely bring on a contractor, right? Especially because you're really in a time crunch, that's not going to leave much time for you to lead source, reach out to clients, et cetera, right? So let's say in that situation, you're using a contractor from day one. Well, in that case, spend 30 minutes of your day, looking for a potential hire or maybe learning, and spend the other 90 minutes of your day reaching out to clients. So that's the overall sort of structure. As an agency owner, we don't have crazy exciting lives. It's very structured, it's very rigid, it's very routine. And especially when you're on that journey from 0 to 10K a month, really all it's about is hitting that quota when it comes to your outreach. And we'll get onto that later on in some of the following phases to understand what quota you need to hit in terms of outreach, and basically reverse engineer. How much do you want to make this year from your agency? How many clients do you need to sign to make that happen? And then we work, downstream. Go through the KPIs, and then you'll have a better understanding of how much outreach you need to do in order to accomplish that. And on the topic of outreach, it's really important to tailor your outreach depending on life circumstance, right? Now, if you're stuck in a job that you genuinely don't give a shit about, or you're in college and you plan on dropping out soon, then it might be worth, if possible, right? Spend the time at work lead sourcing, spend the time at work doing anything you can. For example, you can't exactly cold call at work. If you do, you're probably going to get fired, but you can send cold messages on LinkedIn, on Facebook, et cetera, right? You can reach out, you can send cold Instagram DMs, you can send cold emails, you can, look over your Lemlist campaigns, and we'll get onto that in just a second. We have a very, very extensive cold email outreach module in this program, but that sort of stuff that, let's say if you have an office job where you work on your computer, that's stuff that you can do and get away with, right? In the same way that I was in school, in my school, they let people type on their computers, right? Because who really takes notes these days? And then I don't know, who really organize their life with notes, right? So most people work on their computer and they just have their entire life on Google Drive or Evernote, et cetera. So because of that, I was actually able to lead source in school. And I was also able to send out cold audits, as in reports, not video audits, literally text audit. As I think I mentioned in this module or one of the other modules, that'll be in the video library. I'll leave you guys a video where I actually show you guys some of the audits / proposals I was sending out to potential clients while I was actually sat in my school classroom. So as I said, if you're in a situation where you are in a job you hate and you're going to leave soon, or maybe you're in college and you just don't really care and you're just really there to, please your parents and that's it, and you just kind of need to appease them for a bit, in that situation, if cold calling and cold looms are the best thing that work for you in terms of outreach, obviously you can't really do that while you're in class or while you're at work. So in that case, you can leave that for when you get home. And then while you're in class or you're at work or whatever, you can actually just do lead sourcing, right? That's a really good option. Or you might choose a different form of outreach. As I said, cold email, cold LinkedIn, cold, using a profile funnel. This is all stuff that we're going to get into in phase 4 of Agency Navigator. I really just want to make this clear. Please bear in mind that I had no interest in academics at any point in my life. And also I was in a very funny predicament with me and my mom, right? So don't listen to what I'm saying if you genuinely love your job, right? Or you genuinely love your degree and you don't want to half-ass it. But if you're like me, right, where you just, for 100% fact, with full certainty that will never be, part of your life, or, that will never be a part of your future, then maybe it's worth, squeezing out as much time as you can and, just being really nifty and crafty with the time that you have. So ladies and gents, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to lay over a specific portion of my day where basically I'm going to show you, now at this stage where, I guess I've been in this stage for 4 years now. Dropped out of school 4 years ago. Yeah. So for the past 4 years, I've had my entire day free, right? So I set my own schedule. So you're going to see from the moment I wake up to basically when I finish work, like what my work schedule looks like. And this is an example day in the life. So I'm just going to go ahead and roll that clip for you guys now, and then we'll talk again after. So good morning, guys. It is currently, 7:12 in the morning. Here in London, I just finished up. First thing I do whenever I wake up is I sit in front of my Joovv. Usually I'm butt naked, so obviously I spared you guys that expense. Usually I sit in front of my Joovv and then I journal. And I do that for 5-10 minutes. I wake up at 6:50 and then I'm here in the shower for 7, and then basically just shower, meditate, and get to my desk for 8 a.m. and start work. Obviously, it's a little different now that I don't have a gym. A month ago, I did come back from Cape Town, and I was there for 2 months, and all gyms, everything like that was open there. So my schedule is a little different. Usually, I do work out first thing in the morning. And I thought I'd bring you along for a realistic day in the life of an agency owner. So with no further ado, today's going to be a pretty bog standard day. I'll leave timestamps now if you want to skip to anything specifically and not look at the rest of my boring day. But here's a bit of context as to what it's like being an agency owner when everything's locked down. First things first, let me show you what the OR stats were like from last night. So not the best, not the worst. My HRV was crazy low. I'm not sure why that is. Let's see, sleep 2 hours 24 deep. 3 minutes latency, 1 hour 52 REM. So that was today, and that was yesterday. So not the best, not the worst, but all in all, I'm feeling pretty ready for the day. By the way, I picked up this vlogging camera, the Sony RZ, whatever the hell it is. But anyways, been so long since I've vlogged with a small little camera like this, and I'm just looking at the screen on the side. One thing I've always hated about Sony's is they said that they fixed their skin tones with this camera. I still don't think they did. I still think the skin tones are terrible. I look white as hell. Anyways, I'm not a beauty vlogger, this doesn't matter. It's kind of the day. So, kick off with the 20-minute meditation. Let's get the day started.
Hello there.
So real quick, let me just run you through what I've been working on this morning. So at my agency, IG Media, we are expanding quite rapidly. I guess the thing that's broken us right now is not actually the amount of clients that we're at right now. It's the fact that out of our last, 3 out of our last 5 clients are all spending above 10K a day. And in fact, I think today is billing date for one of our performance fees. So you'll actually see that later today, what our performance fee was in the first month with one of these clients. But anyways, the reason I say this is because there's a big difference between spending a K a day or 2K a day for an e-commerce business and then getting to a point where you're spending 7, 8, 10K a day. That's a real big difference. And actually, I will say one of the clients last month, we were probably spending an average of Actually, let me just look it up. I remember Danny, who's my CMO, mentioned it was. It was like 2.4 million crown or something like that. Swedish crown, Swedish kroner. 2.4123. Yeah, so we spent 207K pounds. So that's right around like $280,000. So yeah, almost like $10,000 a day. But anyways, long story short, the issue is once you start spending this sort of money for clients, there's a lot of load balancing that needs to happen. So with a lot of these clients, we've got like not one account, with one specific client, we've got 10 ad accounts. And as I said, with some of these larger budget accounts, we're load balancing between anywhere from like 3 to, as I said, with that one client, 10 accounts. So that was really the straw that broke the camel's back. I knew that we needed to hire a new performance marketer back in like early January. And we were kind of fine until like early February. It is now, I don't know why I'm looking at my watch, there's no date function. It is now mid-March, and yeah, it's evidently clear we really need a new performance marketer like 6 weeks ago. And it's funny because when we started getting a breaking point, that's when like, obviously more fuel was added to the fire, and we just got like these sort of 3 behemoth clients. So yeah, we're right around 20 clients at the moment with the agency, handling it incredibly well, still maintaining the incredible standards we have at the agency. But Danny, Luis, Kieran, like my team is, they're done. Like they're so burnt out. So as a leader, I should have really made this more of a priority. But this time when we've gone about hiring, we've used a very different sort of approach. And it's worked incredibly well. So far, we've had around 150 responses. The quality has been incredible. And that's across Upwork, Facebook groups, Reddit. We're running Facebook ads at the moment for the job position, LinkedIn ads, and a whole host of other stuff. It's been really interesting this time compared to last time that we went about hiring. So yeah, basically today at the moment, I'm just checking in on the LinkedIn ads, the Facebook ads. I'm going through all of the new responses. I have 47 new responses that I haven't had a chance to look at in the past couple days. And then any good candidates, Danny then takes a preliminary interview. Probably a very similar thing to the last time we went about hiring last July for the... Sorry guys, this camera cut out. I'm already having some issues with it. It's the most expensive, latest and greatest vlogging camera, but yeah, not really a fan of it so far. But anyways, as I was saying, any good candidates, basically I'm gonna sift through these 47 new responses. Danny, my CMO, is gonna have a call with them. It's gonna be probably very similar to what we did last year, which was 100, we got 150, 40-ish applications. From there, Danny took around 45, 50 interviews, and then we streamlined that down to like 7 really good candidates. And then from there, we actually gave like a list of like 20 really good candidates to our CPA students. So this time, I think we're probably gonna get like 250, 300 candidates because we're spending a decent amount of money actually getting these people through ads, Facebook ads and LinkedIn ads. So we'll probably get like 250, 300 candidates. Danny will probably take 75 to 100 interviews, a lot of interviewing. And then from there, we'll probably compile a list of 50 really good media buyers. And then from there will probably be 5 or 6 that are like world-class. I'm talking like the top 0.01% of performance marketers, advertisers, media buyers, whatever you want to call it. This time I think I'll probably hire 2 rather than 1 just to kind of future-proof slightly. And then the other list of 48 or the other list of like 40 to 50 performance marketers, we're actually going to give that to the Meridian Mastermind students. So that's launching this summer. It's sort of our highest level of service and support. I've been wanting to launch a mastermind for a long time, and I think everything that's going on in the world, kind of the craziness of it is kind of coming to an end, and just that face-to-face, I think there's nothing more valuable to it. So that'll be a year-long mastermind. And as I said, because we're so meticulous and spend so much time and money when it comes to hiring, it's a shame that sort of all these other good candidates go to waste, which is why we give it to some of our students at the education company. So let me just kind of show you what the process is like. So you can see right here, this is my beautiful CMO, Danny.
Your interest in energy media world.
Yeah, you can tell he's a CMO and very analytical. But so basically this is the page that they come to unless they've come in from Upwork. So this is kind of the page they come to, and then at the bottom they fill out this application, And yeah, so far, as I've got like 47 responses that I haven't looked at. But you can see some very interesting, some of the questions that we ask. And obviously, for members of CPA, we're actually going to add a 2-hour segment to the Vault, which is the whole live aspect of CPA, basically just going through all the ads, all the ad copy we wrote, how we managed to get so many applications, what we ask, the entire process, like over the shoulder walkthrough. But anyways, you can see right here, tell me about some of the most difficult problems you've worked with and how did you solve them in your life, work, somewhere else. It's interesting because some people will talk about things in their personal life, relationship, like you get some and then, a lot of actual business or work. So it's very, very interesting. Another really interesting question, when, if ever, is lying permissible? It's very interesting just to ask some of these sort of high level questions. And then what was your biggest frustration with your previous boss, employer, or client? So yeah, basically, as I said, the mornings is just kind of like my quiet time, from 8 a.m. all the way until my team calls start at 3 p.m. And then earliest any sort of client check-in calls or sales calls start will be around like 1 p.m. So it's nice because I got that like 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. period and time frame just for myself to focus on some of the high level stuff with the agency. So yeah, that's what I'm working on this morning. So it is midday, and that means that it's time to get some exercise in. Now, I'll be honest with you guys, my exercise routine or my workout routine is just so off at the moment. For me, it's just a matter of, 30 minutes. Well, no, it's not 30, 45 minutes, because I'm in monk mode at the moment. 45 minutes just getting it done, and that's pretty much it. So, probably 3 times a week, I'll just do a little at-home push-ups, pull-ups, weighted push-ups, pull-ups. And then, 4 times a week, I'll just go for like a little run. And I'll be honest, I'm kind of just coasting at the moment. Last year I really pushed myself physically. I ended up boxing for 6 weeks, like every single day, twice a day, and had a fight at the end. I ran a marathon with like 14 days prep. That was definitely an interesting experience. So yeah, right now at the moment, nothing's open, no gyms, nothing like that. I came back from South Africa, and there I pushed myself a lot. Every day was training really, really hard in the morning with my buddy Pete. But now that I'm back in London, it's, as I said, it's different parts of your life, you focus on different things. I know that, kind of between when I came back mid-Feb to mid-April, which is when gyms open again in the UK, it's really just a matter of maintenance, not really pushing myself too much. On another note, a lot of people have asked me where this is from. It's a company called Freetrain, and people are like, oh, is that like a heart rate monitor, this, that, etc., etc. No, I actually track my heart rate with my Apple Watch. So, as I said, I had no running experience whatsoever, and then I just kind of got into running like mid-November, and then literally 3 weeks later, I was like, yeah, why not run a marathon in 2 weeks? So I ended up running a half marathon, I didn't really know what I was doing, so I was just holding my phone in my hand for, literally 2 hours. And then I was like, okay, yeah, this is not very practical. So then I looked at one of those armband things, and those suck. So, this is a Freetrain. This just puts my phone right here, so I can have my AirPods, put my key right here, and then if I need anything else, like if I want to do cards or something, this isn't really good, so I usually just put them in these. So these are actually, for those of you guys who are curious, these are early prototypes of the cargos from the new Principal collection from my clothing line Gadgie. These are early prototypes. The next round of prototypes is actually meant to come in like 4 or 5 days. These are still very, very early days, but I've just kind of given up at the moment. I wear these all day. We have them in a few different colors, and they're comfortable in the day, and I can literally just go straight from working to like just changing top, putting on shoes. And I work out in these, I work in these, I train in these. Honestly, I just kind of live in these at the moment. So these will be launching with the rest of Principal collection end of April. For anyone wondering what shoes I'm wearing, these are the Vaporfly Next Percent. These are the Vaporfly Next Percent. Hold on a sec. I got these as well, which are the Alphafly Next Percent. There's still some mud at the bottom. Anyways, yeah, I got these. Now, I actually bought these for the first time in Cape Town, and I hated them. Like, literally, I ran in them twice, and then I gave them to my buddy because I was like, man, my house is so dirty. This is the only downside I've realized to having a 4-floor house. I went from having a 2-bedroom apartment last time, and I stayed there for like 2.5 years, and then I was like, that entire time I was thinking, like, let me upgrade. Ended up moving into here, which is a 4-floor house. I live in Knightsbridge in London. I used to live further down, like more like central Chelsea area. But yeah, so I moved into a 4th-floor house, and it's the worst. It's funny, guys, because everyone thinks that they want to like get a bigger house and more cars, and like, man, as you go along your journey, you just realize like you just want less stress in your life. So it's one thing to have things in your life or nice things in your life. It's another thing to maintain them. That's one of the reasons I don't have a car. It would just like stress me out. It's sitting there, having to do maintenance, etc., etc. Anyways, I don't know how I got this. Oh yeah, dirty house. These as well, for anyone who's getting into running, strongly recommend these. I ran my marathon in these. These are kind of like marathon running shoes. So my best piece of advice to you, if you're doing serious running, like if you're about to run a marathon, right, for sure, go for these. But I see a lot of people doing like, I see a lot of people doing like 3Ks, 5Ks, 10Ks in these. And it's just like, and you will injure yourself in these, trust me. These are a lot more forgiving, like these are the perfect blend, so it still has a carbon fiber plate in here, same as this. But like, honestly, like you'll do your knees in with these. And either way, honestly, I'm just not a fan of these, full stop. Which is funny because this is the second pair I've owned. I've caved in twice, but whatever. Let's go for a run.
Simple run for today. Been doing a lot of training at 159 BPM. Basically, when I ran the marathon, I didn't sub 4 hours with 14 days training, which like I'm not even gonna celebrate or like take credit for, because I didn't even think I was gonna be able to do it. So it was honestly just like a total shock to me as well. But yeah, my heart rate was savagely high, so yeah, basically trying to run at a decent pace with lower BPM. I think that's really what I need to work on.
Too close. All right. Yeah, there we go. So, ladies and gents, back from my run. Now, I'm about to hop on one of 2 onboarding calls today. This is actually a client that I signed up day before. Client that I signed up day before. And without going into too much detail, because I did the full call breakdown all the way from demo to sales call, and then obviously I'll be breaking down this onboarding call as well. So for those of you guys in CPA, just go there. It's going to be in the vault. So I'm not going to give you guys the full few hour breakdown of how this client came about. So I'll just throw in a 60-second highlight of the sales call here.
I can imagine your frustration. You're managing twice as much spend. It seems like they're, to be honest, it just seems like they're kind of fucking you around.
You know what it is with them? It's they speak to someone that assumes doesn't. I think they're good with working with people who don't know how Facebook works. So they just make up stories and say, oh, this is how it works, and this is how ROAS is maintained and it's built. They were spending, I think, last from the 1st to the 8th of 1st to the 7th of this month, they were spending around 5K a day, and it would just be shit. It would just be 1.3, 1.4, 1.5 return on ad spend. When our minimum is 2. That's where we break even. That's not even where we make anything on top. So we were doing about let's say they were doing 1.3 and 1.4. And it took them, and then again, they didn't overnight just spend 4. They started spending a K, then 2, then 3, then 4, slowly until they got to the point where they were spending 4.5. I cut them off on the 7th. I then off the bat just released 4K and spend overnight myself, fresh campaigns, all new creative, all new copy, and we're sitting at 2.6, 2.7. They're charging us 10%. So 10% of whatever they spend in a month is their fee.
10% ad spend.
Yeah.
Okay.
I assume you're a bit more pricey than that.
No. These guys are fleecing you.
Oh, are they?
No. Here's the thing. So, I have little bit about me. Obviously, I have my advertising agency, but I also run an education company called Great Agency. So we're literally the people that we're the experts that all the agencies in the world come to learn from. And one of our favorite things is to make fun of agencies that charge a percentage of ad spend. Because here's the issue, right? If an agency ever charges you a percentage of ad spend or percentage of revenue, just leave the meeting. Because here's the issue. Okay. Our incentives need to be aligned, right? So we should only get paid when we're making.
So I actually closed this client on a £2,800 a month plus 5% return on ad spend. So at this stage in my agency, I get most of, I'd say probably 70-80% of our overall agency revenue from performance fees. So you can see right here, I made some notes during the actual call. I don't know how well that shows up. So basically this company did, they've been around 6-7 months. They did 2.5 million pounds in the first 6-7 months. February, they spent 55K. Jan, they spent 108K. And now they're at a point where they're spending around 5-ish thousand pounds a day, like 5,000-6,000 pounds a day. So I'm just gonna try and show you that top bit right there. As you can see, the goal is with them in 6 months is to be spending 500K a month and bringing in around 1.3 million pounds a month. So that'd be around an 800,000 pound a month return on ad spend. And then you also saw right below that we charge them 2,800 pounds plus 5% return on ad spend. I'll go ahead and pop up that base retainer. You'll notice that it's something above, like it's like 3,300. Basically it's 2,800 pounds plus it's a British client, so we charge that on top. Anyways, with this client, we estimate first month we'll make them probably around like 100 to 200K return on ad spend. So that's a 5,000 to 10,000, kind of within that bracket. 5,000 to 10,000 pound performance fee on top of the 2,800 pounds. And if things go as planned or able to hit their benchmark that they wanted in 6 months, in 6 to 12 months, which is 800K a month return on ad spend, that'd be a 40,000 pound a month performance fee. So yeah, as I said, the last like 6 weeks or so, we've just been getting these really big whale performance fee clients, one of which, as I said, I know I need to build today. So I'll ask Danny what the final number is on that, and then we'll build them. I'll show you guys what that ends up coming out to. But I'm 1 minute late, so I'm gonna close these blinds, turn on my nice lighting, and just do the onboarding call with this client. So I'll give you a 60-second recap of how that went.
First kind of generic question is, right now, where is the majority of your traffic coming from?
It would be from Instagram, number one, and then it would be from Facebook, Google, and then Snapchat.
Okay, all paid.
Yeah, all paid. We don't have any, massive like organic stuff. It's majority paid. I say 80% of it's paid.
Got it. Perfect.
I saw your guys' hero video where you explain and show very cinematically the product. It had a bunch of views. So I'm curious to know how did that go? Like if you run ads like on YouTube, how did it go? Because we like to run ads on YouTube.
Yeah, agency does that. I don't do that. I have no experience in Google. I have no experience in Snapchat.
No. But just in general, how it went. Like, do you know if it was profitable?
Or just Google in general?
YouTube specifically.
I'm not sure. I couldn't tell you. I just look at Google in general as a whole.
And how does Google in general do?
Google, we do about we spend about $1K a day, and they're bringing about a 4 to 5 return.
No, that's fine. Okay. Because maybe we can scale harder on YouTube.
We've been trying to push them to go harder than only spending 1,000, but I don't know. They just won't budge.
Okay. If you can give us in the meantime access to that account, because I think we don't have it on these 2 emails, that'd be great.
I think our number one country is the UK. We dominate here in the UK. Our conversion is the cheapest here in the UK. Secondly, EU. EU does also similar to the UK. But the US, Australia, and New Zealand is a market that we haven't massively touched in. And whenever they have tried to, it's always been just shit.
That's funny. For most of our clients, the other way around.
US always the best performing. UK is the most.
I mean, if you can make US the best performing, then I'll be happy to take it. But I mean, from experience,
I'm up for the challenge.
Without my friend, was the agency.
All right, real quick before you have the interview, right?
Yeah.
Okay, before the interview, I need to hop on the platform call. Before that, and then wait, when's our new client call? Is in
after that, so like an hour. Okay. Can you send a Loom to once your interview is done? Can you send a Loom to and just go over what our return on ad spend, like how much we spend, basically just our performance fee for last month. If you can bring that down.
Yeah, for sure. It's from 17th of Feb to
17th Feb.
March.
Yeah. Wait, let me just check the billing.
17th to 17th.
Okay.
Yeah. It's 5% on anything above 100K return on spend.
Yeah, I could tell you now if you want.
Okay.
Let me just put it up over here. Apply by one.
Okay. Perfect.
Okay, so from the 17th of Feb over here, although attribution, I mean, we'll still get attributed some sales later, but well, we spent 2,078,000 crowns and made back 4,757,000 crowns. So if I were to do the math over here real fast, that's 4,757,000. 1, 2, 3 minus 2,070,000 something. 1, 2, 3. That's 2.7 million crowns roughly. I'll do the proper numbers in the Loom.
Okay.
But if I were crowns, that's $316,000 back. So we take out.
We take 5%.
100. Yeah.
We take 5%
100K
on anything. Right? Yeah. So the first $100,000 we don't take any performance fee from.
Okay. So if I subtract 100K to 316K, that's 216K, and the 5% of that, that's $10,800. It should be a little bit higher because I rounded down.
Okay, yeah, I saw that. So $10,800.
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So that's like 7,800 pounds. Okay, so yeah, obviously we actually build them in pounds. Okay, good first month.
Very good first month. Yeah, man.
Do you see
room to scale?
Do you see they want to scale to 150,000 Swedish crown? How much is that in pounds or dollars?
They want us to spend 500K this weekend.
What's a 250 a day?
Yeah, that's around 30 grand a day. Dollars. Yeah. And some of the products aren't keeping the ROAS as high as ideal. So we'll see how it goes. Be a challenge.
Okay. Well, if you can just go ahead and just do the final numbers in the Loom and just send over the Loom after your interview, just with all the final numbers and stuff like that. And I'll build them in like an hour or so when I see that Loom come through. Because speaking of spending 30K a day for this client, you need to get on that interview and help us find our new performance marketer. All right, perfect. Cheers.
Peace out. Bye.
All right, guys, so just finished up with my second last call of the day for a super secret project. It's not really super secret, but won't talk about it in today's video. It is currently 5:41 p.m. here in the UK, and I got one final call in the day, and that is a client onboarding call. So let's head into that. I'll probably do a screen record and drop some clips in.
Better context. Because that's the thing, that you've got the product, you've got like 3 out of 4 of the pieces of the equation in place. It's just if you can get this product to Holland quick, because I mean, like 60,000 euros worth of product, like just consider that sold. Yeah, just consider that. So like it's just, that's not much for us to move.
We haven't run out.
Okay. Well, I'm the one who makes the big claims, and then Danny's the one who shouts at me. No, but I mean, it's just like, as you said, you've done that. You've had 60,000 days before, you said?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not with this product only.
Okay. Well,
but it was the best seller. So.
Okay. Well, yeah. Still, I mean.
But indeed, I think we have to, or I have to think bigger, and we know the potential, and it's not like a big gamble or something. It's just indeed what you said. Shipping should be faster.
The main thing is you know this product works.
Yeah. And indeed, this supplier has made like 10,000 packages already. But we can ship that to another supplier or whatever. But we'll make it work, and now place a new order.
Okay. All right. Perfect. So, ladies and gents, I wrapped up with all my calls for today. It is currently like 6:25-ish. Danny sent that. So let me put this down. Let me explain kind of the way we do things at the agency. Is that, pop that up slightly. Oh, there we go. So the way we do things at the agency, at the moment, around like 70-ish%, I'd say, probably around 70% of our agency revenue actually comes from performance fees. Yeah, 70%. I'd say 70%. I was going to say like 60, but yeah, I'd go as far as say 70 at the moment. So obviously when it comes to performance fees, a client is billed. So for example, this client, this is actually their first month with us. So we bill our performance fee in this client's example. In this client's case, it was £1,600. That's just our base retainer. Now it has been around like 34-ish days since they signed. So it's actually now been like 37-ish days, basically like a week since their billing date, right? And a week after their billing date, Danny, who's my CMO, comes in and basically goes through all of the ad accounts, all the different platforms. Now, it's very easy to do this with our client reporting system that we give all the students inside of CPA. Let me move that away. But so we do that. We gather the grand total, then we minus any double purchases, any issues in terms of attribution tracking, then also minus the ad spend, and that kind of gives us our grand total. So I'll pop it up on the screen, but also just I'll pop it up on the video, but also just have it in front of me. So we did, with this client, this is a Swedish client, we did 4.7 million Swedish crown revenue, and we spent 2.1 million Swedish crown in our first 30 days, which basically leaves a return on ad spend, so converting to dollars, of $323,000. So we made this client $323,000 return on ad spend. Now in our deal, this client, before they came to us, was doing around 130-ish thousand a month return on ad spend in dollars. Now we wanted to give ourselves a little margin of safety, so we set the benchmark at $100,000. So we went, hey, for the first $100,000, we're not going to take any performance fee because you guys can already achieve this without us, right? So we don't want to make money if you guys are already getting the same result that we'll get you, right? So we only take a 5% return on ad spend on anything above $100,000. So in this case, we only took 5% on $223,000. So that comes out to $11,177. And by the way, there's like Danny rounded up in the text, but in the Loom, it's like the full actual numbers. So that's $11,177 is our performance fee for the first month. So a 5-figure performance fee for the first month. But I live in London, I'm a British company, so we charge all of our clients at the agency in pounds. So that comes out to £8,061 plus £1,600, which is our base fee. So the entire sort of total for the client in the first month was £9,600, which I believe comes out to like 11,000 plus like 1,600, so that's like $2,200. So I think that's like 13,000 billable from this client. So what I'm gonna do right now is, where's my phone? My phone is here. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm actually gonna bill them, as you can see right here. So you can see 5% ROAS performance fee, first month 8,160. You can see I'm gonna press pay automatically, and then I'm gonna show you my guys' iPhone, and then I'm gonna get Tristan to blur it out as best as he can. So send. Let's hope their bank doesn't decline. We'll get Tristan to blur out their name, but unfortunately, let me put that down there. Unfortunately, sometimes this happens. Where is a Stripe? Let me just check. Unfortunately, sometimes this stuff happens. I mean, when you're doing like a five-figure sum, comes back at do not honor. So yeah, I should be able to do this without revealing any sensitive client information. You can see right here, the bank returned the decline code do not honor. So basically what do not honor means is the bank basically just declined it. Like the client has enough money, there's no issues there. The bank just declined it because it's a larger than usual amount, probably. So I'm just gonna message the client right now and let them know that, hey, the payment got declined. That's pretty much that, guys. There'll probably be a last few little bit of the vlog. Now this vlog will probably go out like a week after I recorded, or maybe like 5-6 days after I recorded. So I'll throw in 100% it would have come in. So I'll throw in a screenshot right now of the payment, or maybe even it comes in later today. But yeah, that's a little bit about how we bill at the agency, and a little bit about what kind of the first month retainer or performance fee looks like for kind of one of our average to higher ticket clients. Now, when Danny dropped the Loom to the clients to let them know the billable, which I think the last one was like 8,000 or like 8,400 or something like that. But the client actually came back and was like, hey, heads up, you actually started 5 days after, because obviously we didn't start from the day that we billed. The ads actually went live like 5 days later. I'll drop that message just here. Obviously, at the end of the day, we always show the client the Loom, and then if there's any amendments, usually what we do on Stripe is you can actually do a partial refund if there's ever a case where we've over-attributed sales and we kind of retroactively find that out. Or actually in this case, there was 5 days where we took performance fees where we shouldn't. There was actually also an ad account where we should have taken performance fees and we didn't. So that actually brought it up slightly as well. Anyways, the final total, and they actually paid us in dollars, so we ended up receiving it in pounds, was $9,900 US. So we received 7,000 pounds. I'm just looking at my bank account. And I'll go ahead and throw up the screenshot confirmation on Slack, and I'll also show you guys right now. So as you can see, they sent $9,900 US and I ended up receiving 7,000 pounds. So there was a little bit of transfer fees taken. So it wasn't quite a 5-figure performance fee for this month, but between the $9,900 performance fee in the first month plus our billable with them, which is just a small $2,200 retainer, that comes out to $11,000 billable in the first month with this client. So yeah, definitely a great client. And Danny thinks that we're going to do around 15,000 pounds, so around like $22,000 in just performance fees in the second month. So yeah, very, very quickly ramping up with this client. They're an awesome client to have. We've had a great time with them. And yeah, with no further ado, let's go back 7 days to the rest of the vlog. So as you saw in that day in the life, it is very, very unexciting, right? So a couple things that I did spend most of the morning on hiring. For me at my stage of the journey, and this is something you're going to get to once you get past sort of 10, 20K a month, hiring is by far the most important thing that you have to do for your agency. Truly, that's the thing that separates a good agency with a world-class agency, right? So I basically spent my entire morning on that, and then I had a sales call, and then a check-in call, and team calls, right? Very, very boring day in general. And that's really what a day in the life of an agency owner is like. For me, the morning work blocks are always assigned to building a system, maybe building a workflow, hiring, really that sort of stuff that is going to strengthen and grow my agency month on month. Now, also please bear in mind that at this stage of the journey, ever since, it's been 2 years now, ever since, mid 2019, we've been getting 80% of our clients through ads. Right. So that's something that I go over every single day with my team. We check the ad KPIs to make sure that, we're not overspending, to make sure the lead flow is good. We're checking Calendly, we're checking the applications, making sure that we're not paying for duds, et cetera, et cetera. Now, if I didn't have that in place before when I was getting to 20K a month, 30K a month, 70% of my day was on outreach, right? 70% of my day was on lead sourcing and outreach, right? So you can just kind of swap those two around. So as I said, the morning work blocks, and I don't have any meetings, any sales calls in the morning, right? Really all of my sort of action with my team, with sales, et cetera, client checking calls happen after 2 p.m. And that's because I want to use my mornings to focus on IPAs. And you might be wondering, Eman, what is an IPA? Well, an IPA is an income producing activity. This is something I've been talking about and fixated on since 2017, because as I said, I saw a lot of people working super, super hard and not really getting many results. And that's because of this concept of IPAs. And really at your stage, the biggest IPA is lead sourcing and outreach. And as I said, you'll get to a stage at around $10,000, $15,000 a month where it makes sense for you to bring on an appointment setter to duplicate and basically extend the scale of what is already working for you. Or on the flip side, that might be a good time to start running ads. And both those things are massive focuses inside of CPA, and really something that we obsess over and we relay and show you guys how to do with world-class precision. Anyways, I digress. Hopefully that should give you a little understanding of where your time and attention needs to go. So let's go ahead and go over the simple takeaways. The real takeaway from today is pretty simple. Less work, but focused. And 80% of your time unless you decide to do the service delivery yourself, then, split it 40% on outreach, 40% on service delivery, and that other 20% is on systems building, learning, hiring, et cetera, and really just always focus on income producing activities. And the last thing I'll leave you with, and I think a lot of people really get stuck with this, because look, when you look on Instagram, when you look on I don't know, when you look on YouTube, when you look at Gary Vee, when you look at a lot of these other sources, and I think I've even seen a lot of entrepreneur day in the lives, and they're like, wake up, meeting, go get a smoothie, go to this thing, and I want us to leave, my own personal day in the life to really just show you it's not fun, right? Like, I think a lot of people think entrepreneurship is like being a rock star. Entrepreneurship is like being a scientist, honestly, right? Entrepreneurship is being a scientist. Entrepreneurship is a bunch of little different experiments where you're tweaking, and that's really what outreach is as well, and service delivery, right? It's an experiment. You have a hypothesis as to what will work. You test it, you tweak it. It may not work or it may work, and you keep reiterating that process. And, it may take you a week, it may take you a month, it may take you a few months, right? To really, really dial it in. And also bear in mind, that's the way that all results go, right? Results go like this, and then you figure out something that takes your business or your results, your outreach to the next level, and then it goes like that, and then you plateau for a bit, and then it goes like that. Like, it's not linear, and I also find it isn't like this thing that, a lot of stuff on Instagram will make it out to be. Usually it's straight line, because you're plateauing, you figure out that thing. And once again, the reason it's straight line is because, as I said, you're a scientist. That's what an entrepreneur is. You're a scientist. So you're tweaking, you're making all these little experiments, and you're stress testing, and you're also seeing what works, right? And you have all of these hypotheses, right? I believe it's hypotheses, not hypotheses. Yeah. Yes. Anyways, so you have a bunch of these, and most turn out to be wrong, right? And that's why that's what this plateau period is. But then you get something and it sparks and it's correct. And that really takes that part of your agency to the next level. And that's when you see that skyrocket up, and then you plateau for another few weeks, few months. And, even for me, that's how it works at our agency, right? So, I really want you to get that through your head. As an entrepreneur, your day is not very exciting. It's not very sexy. It's pretty boring. And your day is more similar to a scientist than it is a rock star. So ladies and gentlemen, for today's action step, I want you to respond to an introduction post and give them a massive grow your agency welcome. Very simple. Someone has just made a massive leap. They're standing on this cliff edge looking at all the endless possibility, but it's also super scary, right? I just want you to take it back to the first time when you joined the program. So, give them a massive, massive grow your agency welcome. Give them a massive, massive grow your agency introduction. So that way they know, this community, like, we're all here for each other. And, sometimes like I want to throw up in my mouth a little bit because I'm not very like a big, like, motivational rah person. I'm not very like, I don't know, like I'm not, it sounds very like, high fives for trying. No, but like, seriously, like, I want you to understand that what you're doing here is fucking hard, right? Like, you are a warrior, woman or man. You are embarking on a journey to absolutely change your life, right? To build entrepreneurship, to take care of your family, to take care of your loved ones, and also to live a very extravagant life if that's what you want to do, right? You deserve it. You work for it. And it's tough, right? No avoiding it. So let's all go ahead and make it a little easier for each other. So on that note, I hope you guys enjoyed this module. I hope it gave you a bit of context as to what a realistic day in the life looks like. And I'll see you guys in the next one.